Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shock Talk. Well, we're excited today. We have some special guests with us. We have Luna and Marlon from Off-Road and Chill, and they're going to share some of their fun stories, some of their best trails. They're going to give us some background info on all the fun things they've done and they're getting ready to do. So, welcome. It's glad to have you on Shock Talk today.
Yeah, thank you for having us, guys.
So let's start with a little bit of background on Off-Road and Chill. What is this? This is your brand, right?
Yeah.
And how did it start?
Well, I started Off-Road and Chill by, not by mistake, but I just bought a Jeep because Jeeps are cool, and then I started filming whenever I was going off-roading. So, and then it kept going for that. I kept going for that, and that's basically it.
Where did you start?
In Miami.
In Miami. So there were actually some nice trails in Miami. Most people think of that as the beach, right?
And
no.
Yeah, no. And they would be correct. There's really, unfortunately, I think Florida is technically below sea level at this point. Who knows?
Swamp,
but yeah, so it was very much mudding. And that's where the channel started. And so the Jeeps were built specifically for that. So if you guys have followed the channel, the Jeeps used to have snorkels and everything like that because this guy's been through several engines. Water and engines don't mix.
Yeah.
Like each other.
Water doesn't compress. So that breaks piston rods and all that good stuff.
Yeah, water does a lot of things, but not that.
Exactly.
For sure.
So how long have you been doing this now?
Since 2016.
Wow, that's a
Quite a while.
long time.
And what was the first Jeep that you got?
I still have it.
Oh, you still have it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Several motors, but you still have it, right?
Several motors, several
I
transformations.
blow my first motor at 3,000 miles.
That's good.
Yeah, that's about the right mileage to replace the motor.
Great break-in procedure.
Yeah, exactly.
So that JKU obviously has had several heart transplants, but it's still only at 14,000 miles. It's a 2016 with only 14,000 miles. But those, I was going to say, those 14,000 miles were well earned. Let's just say that.
Probably feels like 200.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We call it the XJ.
So explain some of the transitions the Jeep has been through, like from mud bogging, what was required there versus what you guys do now as, like rock crawling and trail riding.
You want to answer that?
Yeah, so our JKU still looks really similar to how it did in its Florida mudding days. We haven't really messed with it too much, but in that you can kind of see the scope is so different between the mudding Jeep, which is the JKU, and our other two rock crawlers, which is going to be our 4-door JL and our 2-door JK. So the JKU for mudding, you want height, right? You don't necessarily need 1 tons because all that is just a boat anchor in that like mud.
Sink in the mud.
Flat. Everything is flat there. There is no like.
Yeah, there's nothing really that's gonna require like off camber or any like articulation. Correct. So you'll see that I think in the rear of the JKU is just a semi-float 60, which is still 60, but it's not gonna be like what you see in a full flow.
Right.
It's gonna be super tall. So I think it's the tallest Jeep with 16-inch coilovers, and so that in and of itself for rock crawling the higher your center of gravity is,
it doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it wants
when
to
you're
tip over all the time, right?
Yeah, so he's taken the JKU out now that we recently moved to Utah in its mudding, but now on rock, and it is terrifying. So we're going to be doing some changes.
So that one's going to need some upgrades for the rocks, right?
Terrifying.
Low center of gravity, so you're bringing her way down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that going to entail? Is it a long arm kit or on there now?
Yeah, we have a long arm kit, but that thing have been there since 2016. So all the bushings are like not happy, and everything needs to be replaced. We have new axles, new Spicer Ultimate Dana 60 axles that are going.
You're going to change all the links and everything.
Yeah. So
the old stuff has been Marloned.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's been Marlon tested, and some of it has not survived. But I think, 2016 doesn't really sound like a long time ago, but we're talking about almost, 10 years now.
And 14,000 miles of being battered.
That's a lot
Hard
on the trail
miles,
rig.
yeah. So
off-road miles.
we're going to be taking
and a lot of it wide open.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be taking it completely apart. I mean, the thing is going to look completely different. We're looking forward to that. So
Whose kit are you putting on there? Is it RPM?
RPM, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll do a true 3-link front, double triangulated 4-link rear, relocate the gas tank from underneath to a fuel cell, or actually probably behind the axle. So, but still a fuel cell, and just be able to get that articulation in that we need for trails like, you know, the Rubicon and even Sand Hollow. So,
which your 2-door tackles pretty well.
I am partial to the 2-door. I just like
Short
felt like
wheelbase,
my smile light up.
Yeah,
the 2-door, it's obviously my favorite, and yeah, that one. But like, in order to get the 2-door to where it is, it did require so much more modification than what have you, a 4-door, getting a 4-door to do the things that I do. But once you dial in a 2-door, I will die on that sword that there's nothing that will beat a well dialed in, stretched 2-door JK or TJ or LJ.
What wheelbase are you at now?
I'm at 112.
Okay.
So we kind of, with all things in life, you kind of have to compromise. And so I do still like to do not a lot of street driving, but I do want to street drive it. And so in order to push my front axle out more, I would have to go to a full hydro setup. And I just,
Still want to
pros
be able to
versus
drive it on the
cons,
street.
I don't, it's not. And if you don't have power or anything like that, you're really not getting that vehicle off the trail with a full hydro setup.
If your alternator goes bad, or your starter, or you have any kind of...
Which has happened to us so many times.
I'm pretty partial to the shorter wheelbase too than the longer wheelbase. I feel like you can go lower. You can stay lower, whereas every 4-door that I've built, you got to give it a little more height because high centering.
Right.
You know, so I've always been partial to the 2-door platforms. Even back in the TJ when we were stretching those with all the GenRight stuff, when GenRight first came out, we were stretching those from a 94-inch wheelbase to an LJ wheelbase of 103.5, or, you know, we would try to get just a little more out of the 2-door to make it, or the shorter wheelbase to make it a little more capable.
Yeah, so my 2-door is only 4 inches different. So a stock JKU is 116-inch wheelbase, right? So even if you put long arms, let's just say it's 116. Even my 2-door being, like, if we stretched it 2 more in the front, 2 more in the rear, and I got to that 116.
Or just front in the front.
The departure angles, it's still going to be completely different. That you have less belly. Like at the end of the day, there's less things you're going to turtle on, less things you're going to high center. So I agree completely.
Yeah. It's those guys that are doing like a production type kit, you know, when they're doing a 2-door, it's almost best that you stay, in my opinion, when I was building them, I'm like, if it's a 2-door and you're not going to go all the way, you should stay with a short arm kit, because your arms end up being just rock sliders. You know what I mean? And once the arm hits the obstacle, you're not drooping anyway.
Yep.
So
bound up.
I was always, you know, and then even on the long wheelbase though, so even on the 4-door, if you're going to do mild off-road, the short arm seems to be pretty good because you have wheelbase on your side, you know?
Well, we watched that 2-door Jeep beat everything else out on the trail at High Dive. We took them with us to one of our influencer events at Moab about 2 years ago, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And I think your Jeep was the only Jeep to go up at first try. So that vehicle is very, very capable. Not a super hard trail, but an obstacle.
That's a pretty
I
hard
would say
trail.
it's pretty damn hard.
I was like, wait a minute, were we all there? Because that was, I know inside I was like this. I don't like trails like that.
But from the outside, you were reaching out for your venti coffee and a Starbucks.
Exactly. You made it look so easy. I have to say it wasn't that hard, right? But you made it look super
But when
easy,
you're in that position, like when we're looking at, we got a clear perception when we're spectators. All she saw was the sky.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
She saw
Marlon and the sky. That's about it. Yeah.
Maybe Marlon's hand saying going this way or that way. You
For
know,
a split second,
Yeah, sometimes when you are in that position, you can even see the spotter. Like you have to, like the spotter have to be on the side. If you're in front of the vehicle, they can see.
They can't see.
Right. I mean, it was almost vertical, if I remember. The launch pad for that, to get up that first rock ledge, was pretty much vertical.
But what we're saying is you made it look
too easy.
Too easy.
Yeah.
Well,
there
I
were other
appreciate
vehicles that were stuck.
And there was other vehicles that were far more capable.
Well, you would think.
You would assume they were far more capable, but they were struggling.
Yeah.
You know, I think K-Rod struggled because he was in an IFS car. But
of course.
Yeah. I think he was just playing, though, most of the time. He was just trying to find weird angles and things like that.
Yeah, he was trying to make it look
more difficult than
crazy.
It was. Yeah.
It also comes down to like being purpose built, right? So you
talk
can't.
about that a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, just in the fact that our 3 vehicles have very different wheelbases, were built for very different things. I think that that's where you're going to see where, especially in an obstacle like that where we're all going one after the other, it's not that they couldn't make it, is that what his Ultra 4 car can do and what it's good at, I can't even come close, you know? So, but it was really cool to see that mashup, and I think that obviously we have some good chemistry, my husband and I, and so I do listen, and he's a fantastic spotter, and I do know my rig for the most part. Obviously, every day is a new experience, but I think it's just that combination of everything that's our magic sauce. I don't know what anyone else's is, but that's ours.
Yeah, you're right. You know, we touch on that all the time about purpose-built rigs, and this is why we said we would talk about Toyotas. We'll talk about that for a second. So we always talk about purpose-built rigs. It's like when
is this a 4Runner?
Yeah. You know, you're on a trail.
LC 100.
Yeah. You're on a trail that's meant for a solid axle vehicle, and you're hung up because a guy in an IFS 4Runner is just piled himself into an obstacle he can't get, and you have to go forward. So now you have a solid axle vehicle that's taking the hardest line that they didn't really want to take to get around to yank this guy. You really got to understand your vehicle. If you have a rooftop tent and you're an IFS, stay off of rock crawling trails.
Yep.
You know, and we're going to get comments in the comments, or the guys are going to say, I rock crawl my
his brother's mother twice removed in her Toyota Camry. Like,
correct.
You know,
so when we're discussing purpose-built vehicles, that's what it is.
Exactly what
just
I mean.
Just like Jeff Perkins, great guy, I love the guy. He has kind of a dual-purpose vehicle. We've made it pretty fast in the whoops, but it's not as fast as Joey's, who did a beamed front end, you know what I mean, on his TJ. It's just trying to get a vehicle to do the best of everything is the toughest task, right? So, and I find that when you're trying to get something to go fast in a wash, in a whoop section, and also make it rock crawler friendly,
it's tough.
It's tough because you're going to sacrifice somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what I always mean by it's almost impossible to build a dual purpose rig.
Well, that's where the whole jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
You're speaking about every 4Runner owner.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't say that. Don't come for me. Come for
she
them.
said that prior
Junior's
to airing.
right
No.
Luna said that prior to airing.
No. I have no dog in this fight.
Now I'll tell you what. Like now you talk about Jason at RSG. He has a 4Runner, but he's said, I'm going to put a live axle in the front of this thing. So he put an axle in it, ended up doing a 5.7 Tundra swap in this 4Runner. Now you have a capable rock crawler.
Right, but at that point, is it a Toyota?
It's
You've changed everything that makes a Toyota. Now come for me, okay? Yeah. Now from here you can come for me. If you change...
they're going to come for you.
I know what they're going to say. Oh, but you don't have a Jeep because you have an engine swap. They're going to say the same.
Yeah. Okay, but I do have a...
You do have a Chrysler engine.
Yeah, it's still basically a Jeep, right?
Yeah. Right, yeah. It came out of a 2012 Dodge Challenger.
And you basically went from stock Dana 44s to larger axles.
Right.
Yeah,
and that was to get the Jeep behaving the way you wanted to behave.
Right.
Yeah, from solid axle to solid axle.
Right.
Instead of from IFS to solid axle.
But designed with one purpose in mind.
And everything I've done in the two-door obstacle-wise, like, I wasn't able to make it because I have a V8. Like, it just sounds good. Yeah. Like, honestly, if I could go back, I know what he's going to say, I would not have done the V8 swap.
Oh.
And why not?
Yeah.
For what we do, and I'm not a rock bouncer, I'm not an Ultra 4 racer, we just rock crawl. It's just not necessary, and it puts you in a situation where you can blow out so many other things.
You can break a lot of things with power.
Horsepower break.
We talk about this a lot too. It's like, but you know, there's nothing like that thing at Cars and Coffee when you pop the hood.
Yeah.
Having that V8 with big axles.
Trailer it there and pop the hood, right?
Yeah, I mean, if that's your thing.
Luna's clearly not about Cars and Coffee.
Yeah.
Honestly, why are those things so early? Like they're
I don't
so
know. Yeah.
early.
Why do they even
Why,
exist?
Junior?
Why,
Because Junior
for one,
is up
why do
early.
they even
Okay,
exist?
Junior. Like, don't take people's happiness away.
Like,
Like,
I understand
can they
cars and
start
coffee.
at 10? Like, you know what I mean? It's Sunday. Like,
Yeah.
can we
Yeah,
not?
100%.
Like,
100%. And I understand
can
cars
we
and
do
coffee.
like a tacos and cars? Or
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
a
One that starts
coffee?
like afternoonish, right?
Yeah.
So
like a
Tacos,
happy hour.
tacos and cars, yeah, that'll work.
But I understand cars and coffee and where it originated from, and it was like for street vehicles and motorcycles, they would get together and have camaraderie and stuff. But why would you choose to put Armor All on your tires on your Toyota or your Jeep
Toyota.
to hang out in a parking lot when you could be wheeling the hell out of these things?
Yeah.
Like you're taking
Yeah.
the perfect morning hours where you could be wheeling and you're at a gas station sipping on AM PM coffee talking about your modifications. Like get out on the trail, my God.
Yeah.
And I think those are specifically for people that are not on the trails.
Right.
The wannabes.
Yeah.
The
I didn't
Wood
say
Wada
that.
guys.
I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah,
say I
exactly.
didn't say that.
The mall crawlers.
Yeah, mall crawlers.
Different
Yeah.
strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Like money's money,
But
right?
I-
Bill
and
Stein
I
sells
agree.
to all.
I
Bill
agree
Stein
with
is
that.
for everyone.
Yeah, I agree with that. But if you're going to just want to look the part, that's fine. But admit that you're looking the part. Don't
Right.
overdo it on your IG with drone footage of you sitting in dirt. It's like
We know several people.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go with
Yeah.
that. Several people that will roll up to an obstacle, will like touch the obstacle, take the picture,
And back
make
out.
the
Back out of
caption,
there, yeah.
and back all the way out.
Well, I've watched
yeah.
a lot of your content, and so I know that you actually do the trails that you say you're going to do. So I spent some time before you guys came down, and I've been watching it for a few years and really interested in the whole off-road and chill brand, right? And some of the trails that you guys have filmed on, some of the ones back east, like you were driving through a river on one and it rained and then the river flooded and you were trying to get out, and just some of the adventures that you went on absolutely amazed me. So on that topic, you can think back over all the trails that you've done. Which one do you think has been the most challenging or the hardest one that you've done?
That's a hard one. I would say Lions Den in Kentucky.
Oh,
Lions
we haven't
Den.
heard about this.
That's how-
I was the first JL to ever done that trail.
So this
I-
is
I
a
don't
backwoods
doubt that.
mud type trail
No,
or
it
rocks?
is like
So that's one
How-
of the.
yeah, how
so,
would you describe it?
So Lion's Den, you can describe it too, babe. But Lion's Den is in Black Mountain ORV, so that's in Harlan, Kentucky. And this is one of the obstacles where I say that people will go up to it,
Touch
will
it,
like
yeah.
take the picture and then literally take the bypass out. It is the definition of stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's this really, it's a drop. First of all, it's
And that's the
the
easy part.
entrance, right?
Yeah.
It's called Lion's Den. So you drop in. The drop has to be every bit of 6 feet, which doesn't sound like a lot, except it's pitching you towards this like huge rock face. So you have to like drive down on your cage. So if you have full doors, forget it.
gone.
Your
Or
windshield
if you
frame.
have a Toyota,
Right.
forget it.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a Toyota, forget it.
I'm not with him right now.
You're not going to have any window glass
Come
left,
for
right?
him.
Yeah.
So that part is really challenging, but once that's just the beginning. Like that's like the memes where they show you like the Titanic hit the iceberg and it's like what you see, and then underneath the water is like what you don't. So that's literally all of Lion's Den. It's a lot of, and it's the shortest trail. It's not even from here to the building we just left. It is tiny, but you can be on there
For hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
The way the King of the Hammers used to be, right? That's when you had 31-inch tall tires was the biggest tire you could do. King of the Hammers took you all day on one trail, right? So
Yeah.
these were our pinnacle trails out here, but
Yeah, I
know,
remember
it's
back
And-
in 2000 when you went on when 33s were big on TJs and you went out to Broncos Peak out here and you literally
all day.
sack lunch
Yeah.
because it's going to take you a while to get through it. Even Sidewinder was a little bit when it was just a motorcycle trail. Remember?
Yeah.
Sidewinder's crazy too.
And so
Yeah.
for a full body rig to do Lion's Den, and he did it, he didn't have hydro assist. So 40-inch
No
tires,
Yeah.
no hydro assist, which if you know when you
Forearm
air down,
pump,
yeah,
yeah,
when
yeah.
you air down to 8, 10 PSI,
And the
like
lockers
you
are
have
on,
to,
yeah.
and the lockers are on.
No coilovers, no selectable lockers, no PSC.
It was a good time.
Like,
And so body damage on this trail, it's not optional. Like if you have a full body rig, there will be body damage.
Right.
And so you
100%.
just have to accept that. The JL has never looked the same. It now identifies as an XJ.
Yeah.
And that's just, it just looks like you grabbed a white piece of paper and you
crumpled
did
it
this,
all
and
up.
then you're like, oh no, I had something on it that I need. And you're like trying to just smooth it out.
I
That's
think
what it
I
looks
watched maybe that one or maybe one in your new town that you can tell us about in a minute, but where you're kind of angry with Marlon about all the dents he put in the Jeep there. It was the white Jeep. Maybe it was that, but it was sunny, and I'm not sure on that trail in the forest.
We probably started writing our names on where the damage
dents came
the
from,
thing
yeah.
is that Jeep was a lease. And until quite recently,
yeah.
like quite recently, it is now no longer a lease.
Right.
But yeah, it was a lease, and we had chopped it to bits. It
Yeah.
had a full
We're going to
cage.
return it.
Yeah, it had a, well, no, when I went to the dealer, I was like, trust me, you don't want this one. You don't want it back.
because the lease ended, and we were here in Utah. I mean, not here, but in Utah, and we had to return it. We were
Trail Hero. We were at Trail
we
Hero.
were like 20 days late, and the lease ended, and we were still here. And we
Take it
didn't
back.
know what was going to happen when we got back. But
Well, at
So-
least the mileage wasn't over.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it wasn't. But yeah, so that was your toughest trail. My toughest trail, I think, is definitely going to be Coyote Canyon in Moab.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those trails that you can only do if you win the lottery. Like you have to like sign up for a
Single
specific,
use, yeah.
And only 7 vehicles can go on it. If you get like awarded the permit, you can only take 7 vehicles. They give you a code to this lock gate, but it's right near area BFE, if you guys are familiar with Moab. But it's very much like area BFE. Super short trail, but very challenging. And I did it 2 years ago. So when my Jeep was freshly done with the stretch, the V8, the coilovers, I mean, everything was different. I went from a 96-inch wheelbase to 112, 300 more horsepower. I mean, it was a big change, and that was probably one of the first trails that I did out with the new build, and I had to work for it. But saying that, I was the only Jeep that did it that didn't get body damage.
Wow.
Everyone else got body damage.
including me,
We know, baby.
nothing,
We know.
nothing new there.
So I do know that when Marlon's on a trail that they'll line up and they'll all look at you. If it's a tough obstacle, they tend to look at you to be the first one to go up it.
You're the guinea pig to
Yeah.
test the line.
I don't know the guinea pig, but they just know he'll do it.
Yeah,
He,
yeah.
he just
No fear.
He's
So
very
basically,
willing
yeah.
test subject.
Yeah.
So basically, if he can't get up, no one else is going to try.
Exactly. They're like, forget it. We're going home. We're just
Right,
going
like
to
we're gonna
touch it
turn
and
around.
back away.
Let's touch it, take our pics,
Yeah.
do our hashtags, and get the hell out of here.
Get over
I
to
just
Cars
like
and Coffee.
pushing
Yeah.
the limits. I like pushing the limits on what a vehicle can do and what a driver can do.
Yeah.
And I like to get in weird situations where I have to use my brain and my skills
Right.
to get out of something crazy.
Well,
Not just horsepower and tires, right?
calculating your machine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Knowing what your machine's going to do, always picking the harder obstacles.
This is why I have the V8. Could you imagine?
Oh, no.
Could you imagine? I don't want to. My bank account doesn't
Axles
want to.
would be flying out of the thing, and transfer cases would be breaking, all kinds
Some
of
people
stuff would be
bring
breaking.
like spare tie rod ends and spare shafts. I would need to bring like
A spare
a
Jeep.
spare Jeep.
Yeah, spare motor.
like-
Yeah.
So when you do drive Lunas,
Oh no, I don't.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
That's
No.
off limits, right?
Good.
That's the one with no dents in it, so you're
Good.
not allowed to drive that one, right?
There's
Yeah.
one dent, and I put it there,
Oh, okay.
and that
And I'm happy
and
it was that way.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
You're glad you didn't dent it,
The
right?
best
Yeah.
thing we did for our marriage was wheel separate vehicles. No, seriously, you guys, like it is for everyone watching that has a significant other. Trust me, get
Tell 'em to buy their own
different-
car, yeah.
get different vehicles because we have totally different wheeling styles,
Oh,
like
100%.
completely, and it just. Like you were mentioning before off camera, it's terrifying to be someone's passenger. Like, obviously, not in the way that I don't trust him. Of course, like, I trust him more than any other driver I know, but it's different not being in control, especially if you're a driver. So, that to me, and he takes lines that I wouldn't take necessarily. And so, yeah.
Well, everybody's
separate
driving
vehicles.
style is a little bit different,
Yeah.
and the way they approach obstacles and how they would line up on it would be different.
So basically, Marlon has his spotter saying,
Yeah.
don't go over here.
And he's like,
go,
good.
and he's like, oh, I'll just go over there.
No,
most of
Marlon
the time-
doesn't want a
No,
spotter.
Yeah.
I don't want a spotter.
Really?
You like to
Yeah.
just
But you're
work it
always
out.
out there spotting everybody.
Yeah.
I like to be able to, if I'm in a weird situation just by myself, I want to get out of that bad situation by myself. If I just like to train.
Yeah.
Training is everything.
Right.
Practice.
Yep.
Even if that means getting out of the car, winch line.
And he will.
Yeah.
He'll get out of the
Walk it,
car,
yeah.
like
Walk the trail.
Yep.
Try to understand it. Yeah, that's the best. That's a smart wheeler, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Maybe not the maybe not the no spotter thing, but because I even myself, I've been wheeling for years, and there's trails where I prefer to have a spotter. But
Of course, in some situation, I prefer having a spotter, but I try like 1 or 2 times an obstacle, and if of course there is some obstacles that I can do, then I call for a spotter.
Yeah.
But the first 2
way
or 3
more
try,
than 1 or 3 tries.
Yeah,
Way
yeah.
more. Way more. But,
yeah,
but
but
the
also
story's still
getting
the
out
same.
and observing, because everything looks so different when you're out of the car.
Yeah.
When you're in
Yeah.
the car, the
Yeah.
trail seems like a completely different trail.
100%.
So what I do is if I come up to a situation that's a little bit gnarlier in the car, I get out so I can get a clear perception of, this is easy. Because when you get back in your car, you know the line you're going to take, and it's just easy. And sometimes I'll take the harder line because it seemed easier. It seemed easier when I was outside of the car. But I'll do some brainstorming like you. I'll get out and I'll calculate the trail. I'm like, I got 18 PSI. Let me drop it to 10 or do, whatever changes I need to make in my driving habit to get through that is what I do.
And there's always, what you think your car is going to do on a certain obstacle, and then it's like what's actually happening. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard, there's pitches and there's different, a rock you think, I'm just going to drive over that. But then for whatever reason, it cannot drive over. So you're slipping this way, you're slipping that way. So yeah, I think once you get, you're right. Once you get onto an obstacle or onto a trail and you've seen how your vehicle has, behaved or not, then you can kind of change your plan.
Yeah,
but
it's
having
dynamic,
a preliminary plan definitely
Absolutely.
is
And I
the way
always
to go.
got in the back of my mind that someone has traveled this trail at one point in a bone stock leaf sprung CJA1. And
Yeah.
he made it.
Yeah. Of course.
100%.
Exactly.
So
Well, yeah,
he
because
can
if they
make this-
didn't,
Yeah.
the vehicle would still
still
be
if
be
there.
someone
sitting there,
made
yeah.
this with an AMC 20 rear axle,
And probably a Toyota too.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go. I'm gonna make it through here.
Yeah.
But like technology, I wheeled for years with a Dana 35 with 513s and no C-clip eliminator with a Dana 30 front that was locked, and then it's like when you know your equipment, I'm gonna walk this axle right out of the axle tube
Yep.
if I try that. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I've wheeled some pretty janky stuff like Suzuki sidekicks, you know what I mean? Samurais.
Those are cool.
Yeah.
And so you had to. I mean, back in the TDS days when it was so active, I think back in 2007, I still had a sidekick with a little Cal Mini kit on it, and I was leading a vendor run. And Jeep guys were like, "How is this guy?" But you know what I mean? You just know, like
Your
Luna said,
vehicle.
you know your
Yeah.
car.
And maybe you just didn't care.
Yeah.
And I didn't care as much, but there was guys obviously that shouldn't have been. I'm like,
It's a
dude,
sidekick. I
this
mean,
was the first year the JK came out with the 4-door. Right?
There's a big
It
difference.
was 07, yeah.
The minivan.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that Jeep's way too big to make this trail. Like, stand back. And they all wanted to go, and half of them ended up going down this little 9-foot ledge because it was just so narrow. The switchback was just so bad.
Right.
There's a big difference between not people that don't want to get body damage and people that don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You can go a lot
People that
farther.
don't.
Yeah, yeah. And people that
People
do.
that don't care.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that makes it. That
We
does
should have
make
brought
it,
photos of
yeah,
your Jeep so you
yeah.
can put them up.
Makes a difference on how you approach
like when
things.
you got your roof tent on your 4Runner and,
Yeah.
you did this you're doing this gnarly trail, and then there's Chelsea with her Crosstrek with a bunch of dents in it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
She made it through
Yeah.
that trail.
Exactly. She
Well,
didn't
the
care.
guy with the 4Runner is likely on Amazon getting the touch-up paint for the scratch he just put in it, and he can't concentrate on the trail.
Meanwhile, Chelsea with her Crosstrek is just
Yeah.
blazing this trail.
Blowing
I've seen
through.
her drive that
even
thing.
care.
Yeah.
Menace.
Yeah,
a menace.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
She's an absolute menace.
So before we started today, we were talking about you guys just had a big move, right? So you moved to a new place, and you were saying that you're starting to host trail runs and things like that now. So tell me a little bit about that. Where did you guys move to and from, if you don't mind?
Me?
I mean, we moved from Chattanooga, Tennessee to Hurricane, Utah.
Right. The best trails in the world now, right?
Oh, 100%. That's why we moved there.
Exactly.
They're okay.
And,
okay.
and so are you hosting trails runs in that area, or you said you were starting to have like off-road and chill runs?
Yeah, so once a year we have a fan ride. You know, if you want to call it that. We call it the off-road and chill experience. And so historically, we've had it at Wind Rock Park, which is in Oliver Springs, Tennessee, so about an hour and a half from our house. But it's the largest privately owned. So we don't have BLM out east, right? They're all pay-to-play parks, which is a hard concept for you West Coasters to understand. But yeah, so
we'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of coming to that. But there's pluses and minuses to everything, right? So that park, Wind Rock Park, is 82,000 acres. And, I mean, we've been close to 30, 40, 50 times to the park, and we've maybe seen 10 or 15% of it.
Wow.
So huge park, huge camping area. I mean, they have all the bells and whistles. It's
beautiful.
We really enjoy that. But we also have like 200 Jeeps show up. So we do need like space and stuff like that. And it is a fan ride, so it's always free to whoever wants to come, follower or not, subscriber or not. And we do like guided trail rides. The thing is that everyone's so happy nowadays, right?
Right.
So there's like a certain liability to it. And with parks out here, like Sand Hollow, everything is a permit, because it's BLM. So I don't know what that's going to look like for us this year. I don't know if we'll have it again at Wind Rock and just kind of make, you know, because we're good friends with the owners. Texas, something more central.
Find somewhere in the middle.
But yeah, we always, once a year, we'll try to, and it's just our way to, you know, thank and also meet everyone that allows us to have the life that we have, right? And so it's always a great time. We do camping, bonfires every night, 3-hour raffle one day of the event, and it's awesome. We've met some really, really like awesome subscribers that have now become like one of our closest friends. So
nice.
It's a great time.
Networking,
but yeah, I should probably start figuring out where one just passed. We always have it Memorial Day weekend, so I have 1 year to figure it out.
Yeah, and it was super hard for us because we were at the same time moving. So we were like half of our stuff was in Utah and half was in Tennessee, and we had to do that fan ride like. It was a little hard for us.
A little bit of energy was expended trying to cover all the bases and get moved and host the event, right?
Yep.
So now that you're in Utah, what are some of the trails and things that you're looking forward to exploring
I'm sure
now that you live out there?
I'm sure they've already done it.
I don't know.
No.
Sand Hollow.
Well, yeah, Sand Hollow is 7 minutes away from our house, which is, you know, we moved primarily because most of our friends and colleagues have moved to the St. George Hurricane area within the last 3 to 5 years. And it's nice to have a community, right, of like-minded individuals that understand what we do, because we do love it, but it is our job. It's our only job. So we do kind of take it a little, I don't want to say more seriously, but just in a different like business mindset.
Right.
But Sand Hollow's fun. I am really looking forward to doing Colorado trails. We've never wheeled Colorado. I'm looking forward to doing the Rubicon Trail in our own Jeeps. We'll be there for the, 72nd Jeep Jamboree. So we'll be there, and so we're looking forward to that. And yeah, Arizona, I hear, has some like awesome trails. So like this whole side of the United States is now unlocked,
right?
You know, in an easier way.
You guys, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to all of
The
it.
Pacific Northwest.
Oh, I would love to, like Oregon,
We have never
and
been out
Washington, and so yeah, it'll be nice because I'm 30, you're 30 something,
35.
and so now it's like,
Wow, you're younger than my child.
it happens. It's okay.
So, do you offer anything, or do you plan on offering anything for like women that want to do this sport like you do, this, you know, off-road and wheeling and stuff? And do you have any like women support groups that show women, you know, the proper way to air down, air up, you know what I mean, give them off-road tips or anything like that? Was there a place that maybe women can go to get some like ideas, or do you offer any groups like?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and honestly, I do feel fortunate and blessed that the way that I came into the hobby was, I already had a Jeep prior to meeting Marlon, but, basically I had to go trial by fire, right? It was like being thrown in the deep end when you didn't even know how to swim. So I did not have time to do green trails and blue trails because Marlon and all his colleagues, the other big YouTubers, they didn't want to do no green or blue trails with me. So I really had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
But I'm also fortunate in that way that I met some amazing women that have been doing this way longer than I have, and they have an awesome system that I've, been lucky enough to take a part in and help with women's only rides and women's only seminars and off-road weekends. So our really good friend Carrie and Paul Porter, they run Discover 4x4 Adventures out in Michigan, and they do women's wheeling weekends every quarter. So they're getting geared up to doing one in S'more. So ladies, that's a park in Missouri, which is phenomenal, beautiful park. If you're interested, and we do, I am there for a lot of them, schedule permitting. So it'll be cool to meet you guys. But yeah, Discover 4x4 Adventures. There's, thank goodness in 2024, there are a lot more women's forward educational classes and seminars. I'm looking forward to participating in some of them myself. So as I start finding out, I will let you guys know as well so that we can get more women involved, because I think the first step is the hardest, and it's, showing interest. And then after that, like, you catch the bug, right?
Yeah,
like we all have.
It's not just a man's sport. Never has been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It never
and
has
women
been,
are better
but-
drivers.
Yeah. Well,
I was just going to ask that. Who's the better
They're more
driver?
cautious.
Yeah, it's
You guys watch our videos and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just never.
Who has more
been.
body damage, or who does better, harder trails? It's
Right?
like-
That's
yeah.
always
Tries.
that's
Yeah.
always the
Tries.
discussion. So like, what makes a better driver, right? So it's
Protecting
everyone
your
has
vehicle
their
or
own,
getting through the trail. Yeah, exactly.
Is it better to know like what you should or shouldn't do? I don't know.
But is your vehicle nice and clean because you don't risk it or you don't take the chances?
Yeah.
Or is
Yeah.
your-
I don't know. I
You
think
know?
it's pretty. I mean, I know Marlon does crazy stuff, but I think the difficulty of the trails is, I don't know. I'd have to watch more.
I think Marlon and Wes Welch would be a nightmare.
Yeah, those two.
No,
would have fun to
no,
get- yeah,
no,
exactly.
please.
Would be a nightmare.
Think of
to watch.
Luna. Think of me.
So
But-
since this is Shock Talk, let's talk about the Jeeps, right? What kind of suspension is on your Jeep and on the white Jeep?
So we, first of all, big thank you to all of BILSTEIN, the crew, the team, everyone that helped us put together our vehicles, because we basically came to you guys with an idea. This is what I want our vehicles to be. This is what we want them to look like. And you guys really took that idea and made it what it is. So I know Junior, you and I,
I
went
think
back
Junior
and,
was the mechanic behind most of
yeah,
this.
so he's the mad scientist.
Yeah.
mastermind.
Yeah.
So I know we were going back and forth a lot on, not just bump stops, but the coilovers and the packaging and making sure everything fits. So Marlon and I actually, on our vehicles, coilover-wise, we have the 8100s.
8125.
And
8125s, right?
And with
Well,
the
I have the short
9100s,
bodies.
bump stops.
And do they
Right.
run bypasses on the trucks?
No,
or
not yet.
Just
No,
coilovers?
not yet,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay.
But so he has the short-bodied ones, and I have the
standard
standard. And honestly, that they've just performed so well with any new rig or any new rendition of your vehicle. It's really important to note that very few people get it right the first time. It's
Impossible.
It
Yeah.
is impossible. And you could have two exact same Jeeps, two doors, same suspension, same steering, same components, and it isn't the same.
Right.
So I know for mine, we do have to mess a little bit with
Spring rates.
the spring
Yeah.
rates. But it hasn't stopped me from doing anything. We're just, again, it's just fine tuning. And I think
It's
that's
just like even from the manufacturer, even the Stellantis engineers. You can have an 07 two-door JK four-wheel drive with 40,000 miles, a Sahara, and you can have another one, exact same vehicle, same production plant, same build day.
Different.
One death wobbles and the other don't,
Yeah, it's weird.
and they're bone stock.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Jeeps are just funny that way, and anyone that tells you that they're going to find the length of your arms. You tell me the length of your arms and what, if
No,
they're
it takes trial
parallel
and
or
error,
they're,
yeah.
and they tell you here's a valving profile and a spring rate that's going to be optimal. They are lying to you.
Right.
because it's trial and error when it comes to this stuff, right? It just is.
And everybody,
taste.
yeah, and
And
everybody,
personal taste.
yeah,
Taste and
exactly.
yeah.
Everybody
Not
has a little
everyone-
bit different
Like
style.
not everyone's ass in the seat of a Jeep is going to
Feels
feel the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, I think we just came up with a new marketing slogan. We're just going to say it's been Marlin tested. I wasn't going to repeat what you said.
I was like, oh God.
So we could just add that to all of our off-road shock marketing material right now, Chelsea. It's been Marlin tested, right? So,
Well, I mean, and just to be fair, the 8125 is kind of a market leader, I believe, on the 2.5-inch coilover, in my opinion. For the money that you pay, the fun to money factor
oh yeah,
is incredible. Like these shocks will do. Again, if Marlin can't break it,
you're not going to break
probably
it.
not. And even Wheel, my buddy Ian at Wheel Every Weekend. By the way, he wheels a Toyota.
Exactly.
but
Hi, Ian.
Yeah, it's not really a
he had
Toyota.
this-
It's kind of
yeah, it's a
cage car.
14 bolt
Yeah,
rear,
yeah,
Dana
exactly.
60 front.
Okay.
It's
So like a
fully
Jeep.
stretched.
yeah,
Got it.
Yeah, ish.
ish. Yeah.
But he's a true believer. Like he even says, on his videos, he takes these shocks apart and he says our internals are far superior to other manufacturers. Like you
100%. Yeah,
get
the
a
quality's
lot.
there.
Yeah, I
Lo-
mean,
longevity too. Like my
Longevity.
Bronco has, well, it has old 9100s, which are 8125 is actually probably a little better than that. But I have 80,000 miles
Yep.
on my Bronco.
with pitted shafts on the bypasses.
Exactly.
In the rear.
Well, I have
That's
to
in
go
the back.
back to
The front's
Toyota.
no pitted shafts.
Yeah.
no
I have a
nothing.
first gen Tundra with 6112s with over 100,000 miles on it. So, that says something about quality.
Yeah, so
But a
I-
6112 is like a street going vehicle.
Yeah.
yeah,
Shock,
it's a
but
street going vehicle.
Like an 8125 is
Yeah.
basically a race shock, and you
Right.
can like put it 80,000 miles on a
That
race
is
shock.
true. A Schrader valve shock.
And
that
that's
can
the,
go
says
that
a lot.
far,
that's
yeah.
the difference
Yeah.
between Bilstein and other manufacturers. They'll have like their race series and then their production stuff that goes to the public,
Yep.
and it's like you pull them apart and you're like, oh wow, this bypass has plastic check valves.
Yeah.
The race one has metal check valves.
Right,
It's like
right.
Bilstein doesn't make a lower quality.
we don't
coil.
make
Right.
lower quality anything. It's all the same. We might go from a digressive to a linear or a red oil to a non-red oil, which is
But like
we're talking about
The
hard
components.
parts.
Components.
Yeah.
Right.
You'll never see one of Bilstein shims that is sucked into a piston. You
Yeah,
know what I
that's-
mean? Like it's all top quality, top shelf stuff.
Well,
and
you
it
guys
goes
don't
into
cut
everything.
corners.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
so
there's-
so the public knows what Marlon and I are ordering and getting is the same that
Same
you
thing
get.
they get.
Same exact
Yeah.
thing. So
Exactly.
it hasn't been like there's not a little asterisk like,
Yeah, yeah,
hey,
yeah.
this is
Right.
like for
Yeah.
the racers or the influencers or whatever. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't have a dash L for Luna or a dash
Yeah.
M on the part number.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but-
it does, but we won't tell anybody that.
But maybe in the future when we get the chance to actually tune on the Jeeps, we can actually get them to feel even better. But I mean, I think right now you guys are just off the shelf.
Yeah.
yeah.
We just took it off the shelf and sent it.
Well, mad scientist valving that you put in.
Yeah, but
I-
that would just be normal valve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't know about the Bilstein. We have so many shims.
So many.
Yeah.
And the
So
quality
many.
of them is incredible. Like,
Well, we're
you-
going to be in the BTC, so perhaps we're going
Yeah.
to take a photo of
if
that
you
and
look
sew
at
the,
some
the
of these
shimboard.
like shock rebuilders and they're taking apart our competition shocks, and you'll see like a lot of shocks that have been just beat, which that's what off-road shocks are for. Like if they'll go through one race, they'll pull the shock apart, and the base shim has the imprint of the piston on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They'll show the base shim and the whole cutout of
face,
the linear
yeah.
piston is like embossed into the base shim. You'll never see that in one of our shocks.
Yep.
So do these guys have the digressive or the linear
They're
pistons?
digressive.
Digressive.
So there you go. Digressive valving works
Dig-
off-road.
Well, digressive works really good for rock crawling.
Raw crawling, yeah.
really,
Great.
really good because you can cut the bleed down a lot, which
Stop the
you don't
shakes and
want
wobbles,
That. You
yeah.
don't like you
Stops
don't want
the
it,
side-to-side chop. Like when
Yeah.
you're coming off a ledge, it
or
stops
just
a lot
like
of that.
it like stabilizes the vehicle.
Yeah.
a lot better.
And it'll be
Digressive.
really cool because that JKU that we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that was made for mudding, like we're wanting to do more like speed. with that. So it'll be like really nice to be able to
So you're gonna
show
get
the
Marlon
audience.
going fast as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be mine. I am
Oh, okay.
taking ownership
Oh, no.
of that, but we have tons of projects, guys. Like we are getting into like the XJ and the Comanche, the MJs. We have one of
Ooh,
each.
nice.
Yeah, and so we're
Let
gonna
us be part of
That's
that.
Junior's favorite.
I've built
XJ.
many of them.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it
Where did you guys buy these things?
on the East Coast.
Yeah, so be careful when you pull that leaf spring off because
Yeah,
the
rusted.
chassis is actually threaded on the leaf spring side.
Okay.
So when you try to pull that bolt out, 9 times out of 10 it'll be seized up in there.
Breaks. Yeah.
You just text me.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah, exactly.
Once we start unpacking and unloading, that's going to be
Yeah,
our
that's a
project. So
fun
we have
build.
an XJ, we have an MJ, and so the cool thing about the MJ is like Marlon and I are going to be doing. I won't say all of it because that's being overzealous, right? Especially this is going to be our first like us project. Like we're partnering with Harbor Freight. They've supported us as far as like welders and materials. So we're going to be welding and learning geometry and all of it for the
Yes.
first time.
Yes, that'll be fun.
You know,
Yeah.
and so we're excited.
There's now, I mean, back when I was doing it, there was no geometry calculators online, but
Yeah.
now there's tons of geometry calculators that you can look up and figure out what the proper link measurements, what the link measurement should be to get this articulation, that. But man, that's going to be fun.
All you need with
gonna
an
be
XJ
different.
is 31s.
All you need to do with an
anywhere.
XJ is make sure that your hatch is open before you start flexing it hard.
Yeah.
The frame stiffeners, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
even that, I've built frame stiffeners for XJs and
Oh my God.
and have you ever heard the hatch of one of those things break when it's flexed out?
I have a
Sounds
feeling
like a
Marlon
12
doesn't care.
Sounds like a 12
Yeah.
gauge shotgun
He won't be
going
worried
on.
about the
well,
hatch.
all the hatches are fiberglass. So when they break, it sounds like a 12 gauge going off because the glass shatters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was getting shot at on the trail and no one was there. I was like, where's Bigfoot?
Oh no.
I
It was
never
just
broke
the
my
hatch.
hatch ever.
Yeah.
That's because you didn't wheel hard.
I
Yeah.
did wheel hard.
Oh,
I did wheel
it's
hard.
getting hot in here.
Yeah.
I had an
Shane,
XJ.
Shane's feeling a little
I-
rusty there.
I had a theory that you couldn't like get a new car until you killed your old car.
Right.
So I wanted
I
to
still have that.
That's
That's
down
like
the
you
drain.
can't
Yeah,
get
exactly.
up from dinner until you eat all your
Yeah,
vegetables.
yeah.
Who hurt you?
I tried. I tried
Sounds
to
like
kill
you
my
need a therapist, bro.
Yeah.
Like an
I
800
tried to
number.
kill it.
I've
as
been
I
on
could.
some trails with you in that truck, and I remember you wheeled it pretty good. Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
Foot to the floor.
Yeah.
All the time.
I also was just flex testing mine, and I didn't have bump stop extensions in there, and I took the front fenders off, so I was cycling it way more than it should have cycled.
Limit straps. You
Yeah.
need them good old limit straps.
I didn't. The odd thing is the driver spring didn't come out. I mean, maybe if I had a smaller driver, it might have, but the driver spring didn't come out, and all of a sudden, just the whole hatch broke, dude.
Yeah. That's good.
XJs are fun though.
They're so
That's gonna
fun.
be a fun
Yeah,
one.
because for $25, you can have a whole new one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ask me
You're-
how I know.
Nearest junkyard, you're
The
ready to
MJ
go.
is going to be a fun build
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
The front end's identical. The rear end's just a hair different.
I want to do like a wide body kit on it. There's like a lot of cooler, not a lot, but there's several like cool ones
like Baja
online.
style.
Yeah, Baja
Yeah.
style. Like,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Big
it'll be
wide
cool.
fenders and all that on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let us be part of those.
Yeah. Those would be fun
yeah.
projects.
You guys were the first email.
Yeah.
Chelsea and I are already
She's already
in the
working
works.
on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
You're
are you-
late to the party.
Exactly. Well,
So
she
are you
hasn't
gonna do a
alerted
coilover
Junior
on that,
yet.
or are you gonna keep that underneath?
See, like you guys, Junior did not fail me with R2 Jeep, so my trust is in him. We're gonna like
Let him
brainstorm.
go wild.
We're going coilover, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I think the way that those Jeeps wheel, unless you get a ton of wheelbase out of them,
Well, they said they wanted to do high speed stuff.
yeah, I still think it needs to be a kept leaf in the rear. Just like
Yeah.
a Deaver pack and a bypass, maybe on the MJ going up through the bed a little bit,
That would look sick.
but just coilovered front, bypass rear, bump front, and I'm thinking
Oh no.
Blackhawk.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. That would be cool.
I'm thinking of a zone control front.
We got
Well, if every so we make side by side Blackhawk shots,
right.
Just one.
Just one.
But we made a set for a 4800
Yeah.
Chronicle.
They just won first place.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ultra 4.
We'll have probably a whole separate podcast on that topic, but stay tuned if you want to hear more about that. That was really cool. But we got a few minutes left.
Leaf rear, Deaver, bypass will be good.
Anything else you
body
guys
kit.
want to share while we have you on? First of all, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
We've got a few minutes left, so if there's anything you want to share, shout out to anybody out there in your community. Other than that,
Tell people where to follow you. Tell
Yeah,
people-
exactly.
Yeah,
that's what we
absolutely.
need.
Well, shout out to my mom because she's always the first one that watches all of our videos, and I love her and miss her. Feel like my heart is like on the other side of the country. But yeah, guys, thank you guys. Obviously, we've been partners for several years now. Looking forward to the future as well. For everyone that's new, that's watching and hasn't heard of us or seen us, so Marlon and I, obviously a husband and wife couple, we do this together, and yeah, we just have so much fun doing it. We film exclusively in English, but also both of us are Hispanic, so we have a completely other side of our channel, which is Off-Road and Chill Español, where we're, you know,
Two
it's
different channels.
two different channels,
different
right?
channels,
Correct.
yeah.
So we have Off-Road and Chill in English and Spanish on YouTube. We have a huge two different Facebook pages, same thing, Off-Road and Chill English and Spanish, Instagram, TikTok. We're on it all. Please, if anyone comes out to any of the Jeep events or off-road events, please come find us, interrupt us. We don't care if we're eating. It doesn't matter. We want to meet everyone. We want to off-road with everyone, too. So if you have cool ideas, hit us up on Instagram. Cool trails, you know, now that we're out here. But yeah, obviously, big shout out to everyone, even behind the camera, because guys, this only looks great because of the editors
Oh, yes.
and everyone filming. We're 49% of the talent. So
Yeah.
shout out to the guys behind the camera as well.
Garrett, good job.
yes, thank
Garrett,
you,
good
Chelsea
job.
and Garrett, for all
Chelsea,
the hard work.
mom's here supervising.
All the hard work. But
We've been trying to get Chelsea on for a while, but
Yeah.
she just refuses.
It's been
Yeah.
fun. You know what's really fun to me?
yeah,
What's really fun to me is being out on a trail in BILSTEIN, like wrapped vehicles, and people like chasing us down and saying, "Is Luna and Marlon here?"
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just super cool.
Yeah.
And it shows how much positivity you bring to the sport. You know what I mean? Because people enjoy being around you guys and sharing moments and stuff, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
That's possible with partners like you guys and our awesome fans. So
Right.
thank you to everyone.
Well, thanks for joining us today on Shock Talk. And again, as everyone said, check the comment section. Put down there what you want to yell at Junior about for the next
Talk
episode.
about your rock crawling Toyota with
Exactly.
IFS.
Yeah.
And
Let's do it.
We'll see y'all next time. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.